Thank you, Julie, and the Chamber for sponsoring this wonderful event. And welcome, everyone, the City Council and other elected officials, business owners, and citizens. So we have so much ground to cover, so let's get started with some of the legacy projects, ribbon cuttings that we've had from this past year. On one of America's most sacred days, the City of Kyle Heroes Memorial Park was unveiled on Sunday morning, September 11th, 2022. Hundreds of people gathered as the city held a ribbon-cutting ceremony to unveil this beautiful park honoring our veterans, first responders, and other community local heroes. The Heroes Memorial Park was the first phase of the brick-and-mortar district of 138 pedestrian-oriented mixed-use development within the Plum Creek Master Plan community. The Heroes Memorial Park was also made possible by generous donations from our partners at TDS, Texas Disposal Systems, and with the leadership and direction of the City Council and the TERS 2 board members. This event began with a procession of honor guards raising the flag, and also a national anthem was sung by high school choirs, followed by a moment of silence from those that we have lost. And after the ribbon cutting, a flyover was taking place by the commemorative Air Force Central Texas Wing. It was a great momentous day for our city. On July 13th, our wastewater treatment expansion officially became into full operation with a ribbon cutting ceremony as well. We all know that our city has seen unprecedented growth and is increasing every day. So this is a realization, my friends, that our entire infrastructure, our roads, water, and wastewater, storm system, parks, and other systems are being stressed to its limits. We understand the demand, along with the measures our city council approved and funded a 1.1 million gallon MGD Phase 1 water treatment plant expansion by increasing the total number to 4.5 gallons. This phase, the water treatment expansion, provided the flexibility to repair and refurbish upgraded old treatment units and functioning, and it's continuously doing now. We as a city and council want to make sure that we keep our treatment plant current and operations run smoothly and for the potential of not polluting our waterways. We are so proud of the leadership of our Public Works Department, Harper Wilder, Timothy Stanford, Kathy Rucker, and their team for keeping this facility up and running under extreme weather conditions. On Thursday, July 20th, our community, along with many other elected officials and law enforcement agencies, held our anticipated ribbon-cutting ceremony to the City of Kyle Public Safety Center. With over 64,000 square feet, 2-story in height, a large amount of parking space, this new facility will have a huge impact for our growing community. This new public safety center will provide Chief Barnett and his force the much-needed administrative office spaces, modern training and briefing rooms, locker room facilities, and much, much more for our Kyle Police Department. As you remember, this was all part of a 2020 General Bond Package, Proposition A, to include the assessment, financing, and planning that was brought forth to the voters of Kyle. Next, we're going to have the groundbreaking of the Post Oak Community Garden. It was held on March 26, 2023, located at 201 Garden. The final design of this Post Oak Community Garden, which consists of 6 acres off Highway 150 and I-35, aims to have 35 garden plots, including ADA plots, compost bins, restrooms, covered tables, parking, and other amenities. The community garden aims to serve over 300 people annually and improve the consumption of fruits and vegetables. Then we had the ribbon cutting for the Seed Library. Seed libraries promote sustainability, self-sufficient food, security, and communication exchange. The Kyle Public Library Seed was begun for the intention of supporting our community. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in that same year of Proposition A, we also included a bond package to improve under Proposition B. Proposition B met with dollar but for dollar to match the interlocal agreement for the county. This funding led to our incentive quality of life improvements for our residents. I'm here to announce some of the new additions to our parks for this upcoming year. Our new inclusive playground at Lake Kyle Park. Estimated completion September 2023. This modern state-of-the-art playground will feature artificial turf surfacing, swings, inclusive merry-go-round, musical drums, flower-shaped musical bells, a butterfly-shaped musical instrument, and play panel. Children of all ages, most importantly our children with special needs and disabilities, will now have the opportunity to enjoy outdoor play that will benefit their fine motor skills. We are so excited and thankful to bring this inclusive playground for our residents to enjoy. A very first ever in our city, not only one, but two new splash pads will be new additions to our city parks. Downtown Greg Clark and second at Steeplechase. Estimated completion for these projects will be late September, early October 2023. Greg Clark splash pad will feature a custom water tower, a train, cactus, rain wall, and water cannon, and 3 dumping buckets. The Steeplechase Park east of Kyle, their splash pad will have a feature of giant dumping bucket, sunflower head, hoop set, mushroom, and toadstool, and cattails. Now that we talked about all the fun amenities, it's time to check out all the cool stuff headed our way. So in the words of today's generation and my kids, bro, we're getting a skate park. Skate Park, Greg Clark Park. This project is estimated to be completed late 2024. The design input process has already been included, including public engagement sessions from our community. The skate park will be located at Greg Clark Park in the space where the tennis courts are located near the uncovered basketball. This amenity has been sought after for a long time. Now our kids in our community to have a place to enjoy skateboarding, doing tricks like the nollies, the flick, scooping, and the pop. It's going to be awesome, dude, and I can already see Bear Heiser out there already. La Verde Park, fingers crossed, everybody. Ribbon cutting estimate is to be planned for this fall, November 18th at around 2. The ribbon cutting celebration will include an afternoon and fall-themed activity, including a cornhole tournament, chili cook-off, Saturday college football, and on food trucks and many other entertainments there. In May of this year, the Wall of Heels arrived at our city. Over 6,000 and many, many local volunteers visited and traveled to visit the replica of the Vietnam Wall that heals the Lake of Kyle. The city of Kyle was honored to be chosen for this exhibit during the week of May. In the same month, at Lake Kyle, the Kyle Fair and Music Fest took place. Over 10,000 people attended the 3-day event to enjoy food, live music, and plenty of family time. There was also a gathering of the Kyles from around the country and the world. I met some from Ireland, and I think Councilmember Flores Kale and I met somebody from Bronx, New York, gathered in attempting to break the Guinness Book record of the most Kyles in one area. Didn't quite make it, but we hope to do it in the near future. And lastly, the Pie in the Sky Festival returns to Lake of Kyle this upcoming Labor. What an incredible journey we've had. Besides the financial growth, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, these last 12 months, the vision, the ideas, the groundbreaking, the time, the energy, we as a city, our partners, the chamber, Julie Schneider and her group, all of our council is finally coming to fruition for our citizens. The progress our city has made, we can now see it. We can hear it and we can touch it every day. So to all of you out there, from me, if you're a small business owner, a hardworking resident who's been putting in long hours, a teacher, or even a nurse, you made this possible. The most important, you are a consumer of our city. You are a consumer who purchases products and services every minute, every second of the day, like fuel for your vehicle, getting coffee, takeout dinners, buying groceries or medicines at your local pharmacist, or just getting a haircut. All of you within the community and your neighborhoods, you are all part of the success. And I'm proud to say our small little town with the little infamous Dairy Queen on the hill is growing up in a very big way. And ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning. So next I would like to introduce our city manager, Brian Langley. Mr. Langley came on board with us in May of this year from the city of Burleson, where he was a city manager. Brian Langley has many years of experience and extensive professional background dating back to his time as an assistant director role at the town of Addison, and also a finance director and assistant manager for the city of Denton. Ladies and gentlemen, our city manager, Mr. Brian Langley.
Well, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I didn't know you could bring hats to this, so perhaps I can find a time in my presentation to break this out. But those are great remarks, and it's truly great to be here with all of you and to be the city manager in Kyle. It's such a tremendous honor to fulfill that role. And interestingly enough, today is my 3-month anniversary to the day with the city of Kyle. So it's a pleasure to be able to share that moment with you and talk to you about some of the progress that we've been making in the city. So first, as you know, the city of Kyle has experienced some really explosive growth over the past few years, and we do not plan for the development to slow down here in Kyle. In a moment, the mayor is going to talk to you about some of the really major developments that are occurring in the city and what we believe are developments that will continue to raise the bar for Kyle moving forward. So to keep up with all of this growth, we've been adding a lot of positions to make sure our community is served and we are able to provide the services that are needed by our growing community. Just this past year, we added 58 new positions, almost 60 new positions. The budget that we're hoping to have approved in September will add another 38. And 2 critical positions that are being added this year include the Chief Development Officer and the Director of Water Utilities. And these positions will assist us with managing increasingly complex infrastructure and development projects that are coming towards the city. But in just the past 2 years alone, we've added about 100 employees, which is really an increase of over 30% for our staff in just 2 short years. And I think that's really remarkable if you think about all the things that are going across the community. The staff has had to grow with that and adjust to all those changing circumstances as well. With these additions, we'll now have about 400 employees working for the city. And that's really, again, remarkable. I think if you look back just a few years ago, it's probably very difficult for some of us to imagine a workforce this large serving the community every day. So we've also been working really hard on the budget the last several months. For the coming year, we've prepared a budget to meet the needs of the community and all the resident feedback that we receive from the citizens. In particular, we're focusing on a few key priorities that I want to go through with you. The first is enhancing public safety. Public safety is a critical component of this city and a big part of what we do as an organization, so we're investing in that. We're adding 8 new positions for the coming year, including a narcotics investigator, a mental health officer, which is a growing need in the community that we need to address, fleet coordinator, animal control officer, amongst many other positions in the budget. We're also providing over $500,000 for the replacement of radios, bullet-resistant vests, software, and a variety of other equipment needs that the department has to manage a growing city and a large department, a large building that you just saw a moment ago. And we're also planning a detailed review of our staffing to help us prepare a 5-year strategic plan for staffing moving forward in the department. So not only do we want to make sure we have the right staff for this year, but looking forward in the future, we want to make sure we have the right type of staff, the right equipment, the right type of training, all those things moving forward for the department moving forward in the future. We're also increasing street maintenance, and I know that's been a big focus of the community. I've definitely heard a lot about that from the public as I've been here. So we're, as you know, we're proceeding with the $294 million bond package that was approved by the voters this past November. So we're hard at work to make those projects come to life. In addition, we're also going to be increasing our street maintenance budget from $750,000 to $1 million a year, which is a significant increase for us. And we're also going to be adding $2.3 million for the reconstruction of Goforth Road and Heidenreich. Now, those are 2 roads that are in need of repair, need to be totally reconstructed, and we certainly get a lot of feedback from the community of how we need to address that. And we've also finally included another $2 million to begin the design of the Goforth roadway from FM 150 down to the Limestone Creek development. So that's a much needed arterial roadway which will help mobility in that area of the city. And finally, we're continuing to invest in our most important resource, and that's our people, our employees of the city. All the things that we talk about, all these projects, all the buildings, all the roads, all the projects would not be possible without our people, and we have such a great staff here, and the council's been incredibly supportive of taking care of our staff. So this budget includes funding to continue to manage our employees with rising wages in the workforce and increasing the benefits for their families. That's very important for us so we can attract and retain quality employees. Our goal is to be, quite simply, the employer of choice in this region. We want to have a great culture, great pay, great benefits, and most importantly, a great community. And we believe we're well on our way to doing all those things. So in closing, we're hard at work to make Kyle a great community, even greater community. And I'm very excited to be here. I'm proud to be, again, to be your city manager. If I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, I do want to meet you. I've met many of you in the room, but haven't had a chance to meet all of you yet. So hopefully in the coming weeks and months, I'll have a chance to meet you, get to know you, and figure out how I can help you in the community. So I didn't have a chance to use the hat, but perhaps the mayor will break that out here in a moment. But I did want to take a moment to now introduce our next speaker, the one that you've been waiting to hear from, and that's Mayor Travis Mitchell. So the mayor has been serving as mayor since 2017 and has also served on the council since 2016. He's got a lot of exciting projects to talk about, so I'd ask the mayor to come up at this time. Thank you.
It seems like only yesterday that I was attending my first State of the City address, and here we are now 7 years later, continuing on with that tradition of trying to engage with the community and talk to them about the things that we care about and also hear back from them. Back in 2013, 2014, when I was first coming to the city of Kyle, one of the things that people talked about when they talked about the city of Kyle was the phrase bedroom community. And what they meant by that was that most of the people who lived in Kyle worked outside of the city. So oftentimes they would take their kids to school. If they had children, they would have a house, and then they would be gone all day, every day during the week. And that always bothered me. It bothered me in some pretty significant ways, and to the point where I wanted to try to come and make an impact on that. Everybody has Facebook, right? So on your Facebook, you will have like a lives in, and when I was first doing my campaigning, a lot of the people, I would knock on their doors and I would find them on social media, and lives in would say Austin. And it always bothered me because people identified as living, residing, and having community away from their own town. So I set as my goal from the very beginning is when I am done, I want to have more of the people in this community saying that they live in the city of Kyle on Facebook and otherwise in the community. I want to say, if you are an employee of the city of Kyle, if you are on the city council or serve in the city of Kyle as a school board member or volunteer in the city of Kyle, especially during the week on a board or on a commission or with a nonprofit, would you please stand up? These men and women have served the city of Kyle in extraordinary ways, helping to build up and shape our city for the future. And on behalf of the city council and for myself, I just want to say to all of you who are so vested in our community, you're not up here, but you are making an impact every single day, and it's appreciated. I cherish the growing community, especially those who are able to come during the week and participate in shaping Kyle for the future. All right, so today the theme of my presentation is called Setting the Stage. A couple years ago, we called it Shaping Kyle for the Future. Last year, we called it Building Momentum. This year, it's Setting the Stage. They're all sort of metaphors for the way I view the city. I see the city of Kyle as on the precipice of a major reimagining of what our city is, and in particular in the region. This first slide is the one I always like to start with. It's our sales tax revenue going back to 2016 when I was first elected. You can see, obviously, the trend is that our sales tax is growing. For every $1 million that the city of Kyle receives in sales tax revenue, we get 1%. So $1 million divided by 1% is $100 million in new business revenue in our community. So we have seen, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, an average of $1.5 to $2 million of increased sales tax revenue year over year, which is $100 to $200 million new dollars being spent in the city of Kyle annually. just to give some perspective on what that might look like. We've taken a little bit more of a conservative approach as we are looking at the next fiscal year. We've only projected our sales tax to increase by around $1 million. I think that number may end up being maybe $2 million, but we'll see. We'll see how that looks when the numbers finally come in. There are two factors that are sort of making an impact on the city of Kyle. One is an external factor, which I think we all understand. We know where Kyle is at in the region. Kyle is south of Austin on I-35 between Austin and San Antonio. And those cities, Austin, San Antonio, the state of Texas, American economy, they're all pouring fuel on the economy in the city of Kyle and causing us to grow. So that's one factor I think we all agree on. The second factor, though, is what we are doing internally to shape our future, because the development pressures on the city of Kyle are robust. And if we don't have our eye very focused on what we are trying to achieve as a city, I think it's possible for the market to sort of pigeonhole the city of Kyle into being just a bedroom community or maybe a very large bedroom community. That has never been my vision. It has never been the vision of the city as long as I have been here. What we want to do is create a thriving, robust, balanced economy in our city where folks can work here and earn primary jobs, where they can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner options, and they can have fitness classes and yoga classes and opportunities to volunteer at their PTA or with the school district. Those are the things that we care about a lot. And so what I'm about to show you represents what I think is a combination, a harmony, hopefully, between the external forces that are trying to make an impact on our community and the internal forces, our own community itself and the leadership who are trying to harness that and shape something meaningful. This is our building permit slide. I show it every year. You might think 2023 couldn't possibly be bigger than 2022, which couldn't have possibly been bigger than 2021, which at the time, I think I used the word unimaginable to explain the pace of growth in the city of Kyle. Obviously, quarter over quarter, you can see from the pandemic to 2021, 2, and 3, an incredible growth in the city of Kyle. The second quarter of this year is the first time in these last 4 years that our quarterly building permits being issued is lower than the second quarter of 2022. That's the first time that's happened, which is also why we've lowered our sales tax projections. I think there might be some uncertainty in the market, but even still, the second quarter of 2023's numbers represent the fourth best quarter in the history of the city of Kyle. So there's some perspective. All right, so with all this growth, the first question the most common question I've been getting, especially over the course of this last summer, is how are you preparing for water? Because right now the city of Kyle is in a stage 2 water drought, which creates restrictions. You can only water a residential lot 1 time a week. That's causing a lot of consternation. I don't think it's rained in 2 months. I was hoping maybe this thing would get rained out. It's the only way that I didn't want to have this is if it just came pouring down in rain. But if Kyle isn't preparing to be able to deliver water to the future customers in our city, then we are creating for ourselves a catastrophe. Various jurisdictions around the Austin metropolitan area have different plans for water, and I am proudest of the plan that the city of Kyle has. I believe it's the best in the whole region. Back in 2004, a little history lesson, the city of Kyle was trying to recruit Cabela's. We were very excited about the possibility of the first major retail development in the city of Kyle. However, 2004 was also a dry year, and our permits for water supply were not substantial enough compared to the demand and the draw that we were using. And so the Barton Springs Edwards Aquifer Conservation District was fining us. I can't remember the amount back in 2004, but it was substantial. And so the city of Kyle went into a moratorium until it could find a new water source, which we were able to find. But the result is that Cabela's ultimately went to the city of Buda. But it taught the city of Kyle a lesson. The lesson was, if you want the good things that are coming in the future, you must prepare today in order to be ready to receive them when they come knocking. The water supply is the number one priorities as it relates to moving the city forward. Alliance Industrial, which is formerly called the Hayes-Caldwell Public Utility Authority, was established in 2007 as a partnership with the city of San Marcos, the city of Buda, the Canyon Regional Water Authority, and ultimately the GBRA to draw down more than 60 million gallons per day of new water from the Carrizo-Wilcox Aquifer in Gonzales County. So that's about 60 miles east of here. The Carrizo-Wilcox is a sandy aquifer. It performs very differently than the Hayes and the Trinity and the Edwards. Those are shale or rock formations, so the water goes in very fast. It also gets drawn down very fast. There is more water available in the drawable 10% of the water in the Carrizo than all the surface lakes in the state of Texas combined. So the city of Kyle, along with its great partners back in 2007, showed tremendous foresight in beginning this project, which this picture was taken about a month ago. The new city manager and I, as well as a few others, were able to go and tour their progress. This is not a theory. This is a project that is nearing completion. We expect the first water to be turned on in the entire system that's being provided, water to be provided to next year, with direct water coming to Kyle in early 2025. So to put some context around it, the city of Kyle uses on average annually 7 million gallons per day. So that's our daily running average for the year. The first major pipeline at full capacity will generate 30 million gallons, of which Kyle is a 27% member, which is roughly 8 million gallons per day. And that is starting to come online next year and then directly to the city of Kyle the following year. So we are setting up over the next 24 months to put ourselves on a path to double our water supply. And then, as a part of that project, there is an entirely separate easement that's already being put in line with headworks, so that all we're talking about is adding one extra line. That extra line has the potential to double it yet again. So I'm very proud to say that even though it's dry, it's hot, there are drought restrictions because of the growth in the region relative to the water that is available in the region now, the city of Kyle is absolutely on a path and has a plan to be in a great situation as it relates to water moving forward. When I first started at the city of Kyle, we had no ability to construct, reconstruct, or really rehabilitate roads internally at all. We didn't have the crews, we didn't have the equipment. So we've set out over the course of the last 7 years to build up and beef up our internal streets maintenance and streets construction division, which is allowing us to pursue construction on Heidenreich and Goforth and other various downtown projects and throughout the city. But that's not enough to keep up with the pace. And last year, in November, we took to voters a $294 million roads bond proposition to reconstruct the following roads. You see Old Stagecoach all the way from Veterans Drive to Center Street all the way to Burleson. And then there is the extension of Marketplace, which is going to connect our new public safety center all the way down to the HEB and into down to Burleson to downtown. There's a widening expansion of Windy Hill. There is the BB Road in its entirety being reconstructed. There is the Kohlers Underpass to Seton. So what you see is Kohlers Crossing, where it comes out at the Dry River District, eventually will go underneath I-35 onto the east side, and then over Plum Creek and we'll connect at Seton. And then there's the Kyle Parkway extension, which will go from Seton, from where Dacey Lane dead ends, or from where Kyle Parkway dead ends at Dacey, through Dacey Lane and around to Lehman. So we're connecting, not just rehabilitating old roads, we're actually paving new roadways as well. And then in addition, there's the Go Forth extension, Heidenreich, and the project down at Yarrington. Very exciting projects moving forward. One more thing I will say about the roads bonds. In 2013, the city of Kyle passed a roads bond proposition as well, but the thinking at that time was to be very conservative in how we rolled out the reconstruction of those roads. So we were doing one road project at a time. So you would spend 18 months engineering, then you'd spend 24 months to 36 months in construction, then you would start on the second road. We've taken a completely different approach. We had these projects 10% preliminarily designed before we took them out to the voters, and the voters approved in November, and we issued full design contracts on all of these roads in February of this year. So every single road that you are seeing is not a plan. It's not a proposal or something we're going to get to. We are under engineering, under design, acquiring a right-of-way, relocating the utility lines for every single one of these projects. And our intention is that as each road gets ready for construction, that we will move forward as fast as we possibly can. So look forward to road construction over the next few years. But look forward to seeing the city of Kyle's road infrastructure dramatically improve over the next 5 to 6 years. So we've talked about our water infrastructure, we've talked about our road infrastructure. The next one is our parks and trails infrastructure. Obviously, the Mayor Pro Tem had a lot to say about our expanding park system, and there is more to say even than that in terms of what we were working on for the future. One thing I wanted to talk about was our Vibe Trail, which is our concrete trail multimodal pathway throughout the city, and our natural trail system that we're expanding. The Vibe Trail, if you don't know, is a 10-foot wide concrete sidewalk built with lights and charging stations and seating areas throughout. It is a 84 miles planned throughout the city, master planned. There are 6.6 miles of Vibe Trail already constructed, with 2.4 miles under construction, 14.8 miles in review, plans to be constructed, and 10.4 miles along those road bond roads. So this is, again, not a plan that we are contemplating. This is a multi-year long development of a core piece of our infrastructure to allow for people to get from place to place throughout the community without having to get onto the road system at all. Be fantastic. And then the natural trail system is also expanding in part because of Proposition B in 2020, in particular along Plum Creek in the east side of Kyle, from Lake Kyle all the way to Waterleaf. We have, in partnership with the county, we have $4 million to make that even better of a trail system to allow for folks to get out and enjoy the outdoors. Briefly, I want to talk about our Uber Kyle 314 program. If you don't know, our Uber Kyle program is what I think is a very innovative solution to transportation. Most smaller growing cities of our size can't make a massive transportation program economically feasible. The city of Kyle through the years pursued many different models to provide transportation solutions for our residents. And 3 years ago, back at the pandemic, when we were taking some time to really try to process what would be valuable to the community, we came up with the idea of partnering with Uber as well as a Wave or a ADA accessible provider to have a point-to-point 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year service that we could subsidize and would be a variable cost. So it would be the city of Kyle paying roughly $10 per Uber ride, and the community member who uses the voucher, $3. And it's very quick, fast, and efficient. The average wait time when we first started the program was close to 20 minutes. That number has now been reduced to an average of about 9 minutes. Anywhere in the city that you want to go, it's as easy as going to the Uber or the Kyle app And downloading a voucher, you put your name and your phone number and your email, and it instantly puts the voucher into Uber and has a geofence, so you don't have to do anything else other than order your ride, and the cost is $3.14. This has created a ton of excitement in the community without a lot of marketing from the city. And as you can see, the program is growing exponentially. It's being widely praised and adopted in the community. We're averaging more than 50% growth every single year. Downtown is near and dear to my heart. It has been obviously one of the areas that was developed many, many years ago in its entirety with very few undeveloped lots in the city. And as we have tried to contemplate what do we need to do in order to help bring about downtown revitalization, one of the things that we said we wanted to do was create a downtown master plan. That plan is under review. We hope to take a vote on that later in the year. But the second thing we wanted to do is clean it up and then make space for businesses to come to the city and have opportunities to do development projects where additional businesses can come. So one of the things the city has done recently is when the Jack's Axes and Papa Jack's buildings burned down, the city made that acquisition. We also have moved our police station to the new public safety center on Kohlers. And so the entire block around City Hall is now owned by the city. And while we put a parking lot there for now, because we didn't want to leave it looking the way that it did after the buildings burned down, that is not the long-term plan for that space. For that space and other spaces downtown, what our goal is to be a partner with the private development community to cultivate multi-storied buildings that allows for small businesses and local shops to come in down on the first floor and on the second and third floor for office space and residential to thrive. But in order to do that, you've got to acquire space, and that's what we're working on downtown. We have finally completed the undergrounding of our downtown utility lines. So if you've ever gone and spent any time on the square in years past, there was no way to take a picture anywhere in the park looking in any direction without power lines being everywhere. It's all you saw was power lines. So the City Council over the last 2 years has pursued an undergrounding program, and we have just completed the undergrounding of the downtown utilities, which is a subtle way of dramatically increasing the aesthetic downtown as you walk around. And if anybody's been downtown lately, you'll know that it feels more open. It feels more visually appealing. And then also, of course, 2 years ago, we completely redesigned Mary Kyle Hartson City Square Park, and it has been just fantastic to see how beautiful downtown is. My opinion on downtown is that it is on the cusp of achieving something great as it relates to businesses coming to that particular area. One of the things that we absolutely have to solve as we recruit businesses to come is parking, and that is also something that the City Council is working on a lot. All right, the final thing that I want to talk to you about before we talk about some of these great projects that are coming online is the regional sportsplex. As the Mayor Pro Tem said, in 2020, we passed Proposition B, which allocated $7 million with partnership money being allocated in later years by the county of $7 million to make a total of $14 million for the creation of a sportsplex on the north end of the brick and mortar district. One of the things we had to wait on before we could pursue that in earnest was actually the land underneath where the sportsplex was going to go was a part of a development agreement with Momark and the brick and mortar district folks, and we had to get to the point where that land would be conveyed. I'm very happy to report, I believe it's next month, that the land for the sportsplex will be conveyed. And so the City Council will be pursuing in earnest over the course of the next 6 to 9 months the cultivation of a concept and a plan to bring about a sportsplex. I don't know what y'all are most excited about with sportsplex. I think about soccer. I think about pickleball. I think about lights and artificial turf, good parking, those kind of things. Stands. Just some of the ideas. Pavilions, playgrounds, all of that is within our reach to accomplish thanks to the support of the voters in 2020. The final two topics I want to talk about. The first that's most important for us to do if we're trying to avoid being pigeonholed by the development community as a large bedroom community. The first thing we have to do is we have to develop, expand, and plan for robust infrastructure, which I hope you've seen we absolutely are doing. The second thing we need to do is cultivate and expand the options and availability of retail to be established in the city of Kyle. This slide kind of floored the city council, I think, when we heard it at a presentation by Newquest at our last meeting, represents retail leakage. So what it is saying, in a nutshell, is that 61% of the dollars that people who live in Kyle spend, they spend outside of the county, not San Marcos, the county. Not Buda, 61% of the dollars. When I first saw that number, I was pretty upset, frankly. I'm like, man, all this money being spent outside of the city of Kyle and even outside of Hays County. The number of actual transactions, let me make sure I want to say this right. The number of actual visits outside of Kyle is 7.5 million annual visits. And I just think to myself, man, all that money leaving the city of Kyle, all of those businesses that could be here that aren't. How frustrating is that? But over time, I've started to shift my thinking and say instead, what an opportunity we have in the city of Kyle for businesses to come and take advantage of a ripe retail market. And so we have been pursuing the cultivation and expansion of a lot of our mixed-use districts and our retail centers. The amount of retail growing in the city of Kyle right now is kind of hard to describe. People, especially folks who don't live here, the folks who live here talk about it, but they see it incrementally. The folks who live outside the city of Kyle, every time I talk to them, they're like, what is going on in the city of Kyle? Well, there it is. 7.5 million people getting on I-35 and going to New Braunfels or going to South Park Meadows, struggling with traffic. These businesses and the developers are realizing that there's an incredible opportunity to expand our retail market in the city. So I see this as exciting news. What it means is that we aren't full when it comes to business. When it comes to retail, we're not at the edge of our capacity. We have a lot of capacity left, and that's going to create a lot of opportunities for our business community, those that are in existence, to grow and expand, and those who are thinking about starting a small business or a medium business or a large business to grow and expand, and those outside the city of Kyle to come here and locate and take advantage of all of our money that's here. The Costco effect. I want to start with the Dry River District. Have you ever heard the Costco effect? Costco effect means when Costco comes to a community, it generates a certain amount of viability, energy and shopping. But what it does even more so is it creates a lot of businesses that want to get near Costco. We knew that was what was likely to happen. We were excited when we got to 2 years ago to announce that Costco was coming. And last year when we got to show the construction being under construction. And this year having had the ribbon cutting and opening Costco. It's all been fantastic. However, there are a lot more things coming to the city of Kyle now. My point is, when Costco came to the city, it did, without a doubt, help us to establish credibility in the market as a growing, thriving community where investment can be made and profits can be had. Hobby Lobby's open. Has anybody been in yet? I see hands, so clearly they're open. So that's very exciting. Councilmember Parsley couldn't make it to the lunch today, but she is without doubt the most excited council member for Hobby Lobby. She is gifted at those things. And then Academy is planning to open next month, just in time for the hunting season. So if there are any hunters out there, hang tight. Academy will be open. You can get your supplies right here in the city of Kyle. So let's go now to the remainder of the Dry River District. These are all the businesses that are coming, according to the Costco effect, around Costco. A lot of these businesses are already open. I have tried maybe half of them at this point, maybe a little more. My wife and I and our children ate it via 313 last night. That pizza was good. I really enjoyed it. We've tried Torchy's. Einstein's is getting ready to open. Tiff Streets is great. Free Birds. There's one on there, though, that's kind of interesting. It's kind of in the middle. Chick-fil-A. So apparently Chick-fil-A is doing so much business that they're getting ready to open here on the south side of Endeavor. So if you're looking at Evo from Kohler's, there's the Pet Paradise, there's a Midas, then there's a mixed-use building that will have multiple tenants, and then there's one corner lot. Chick-fil-A is turning dirt on that project, and I have no announcements as far as when they'll be completed or anything like that. They don't share that with me, but they are coming. They have submitted their permits and are on the way. The Calterra district is just on the south side of Kohler's and I-35. It's a mixed-use district with residential as well as retail. I mentioned a lot of these businesses at the last State of the City. Rudy's, I think, is ahead of everyone else, but all of their restaurant pads are under development. So expect to see many of these businesses opened next year. And then Kyle Crossing Phase 2. So that's where the new Chipotle is. There are some really cool restaurants coming in, and they have additional retail standalone restaurants and a large mixed-use side with ground floor retail yet to be developed. But in their first phase construction right now, you see Crumble Cookie, Snooze, Kava, Spoon and Fork, which is very exciting. What people say is, hey, we don't just want the same old food every day. Well, I see Mediterranean, I see Korean, I see Chipotle. And breakfast foods. It's great to see more opportunities for us to go and have breakfast in the city. So very excited about that, and also their standalone restaurants that will be coming in the coming years. These are various restaurants and businesses that are coming that don't necessarily have a particular development name to give. We don't know exactly where Waffle House is at. We'll see if they come. Stretch Labs just opened in the north side of Plum Creek. Walk-Ons is also coming. The reason that Walk-Ons has taken some time is because we had to do all of the site development work, which was extensive at the intersection of Kohler's and 1626. They are still coming as well. All right, Texas Roadhouse is coming. We didn't mention this at the last State of the City, but Endeavor, the Dry River District, which is just to the west, if you'll notice, they're out of space. But Endeavor, which is a premier retail developer in the Austin area, has continued to invest in Kyle, and they've created what's called Amberwood Ranch, which is directly across, essentially, from the Costco. Their first major tenant is Texas Roadhouse. I talked to Dan Frey with Endeavor yesterday. He says the intention is to break ground and start on this project October 1st. There are several other sites on this particular, at Amberwood Ranch, 4 standalone restaurants and 1 major site for a new large fitness center yet to be named, which I'm pretty excited about. We get a lot of requests for that. All right. Those are all the businesses that we've talked about in the past, that you see out there, that you've heard, you've seen in the news that are coming. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming now. First up is the WordPlace development. Cindy and Jeff Barton have put their heart and soul into this, as well as their team and their family. The WordPlace is one of the most unique, new, small, mixed-use districts coming to the city of Kyle. It's at Marketplace in Burleson on the corner there. It's a family legacy property, and there are some wonderful oak trees and some old historic homes that are going to be repurposed into one of the, I think the main home is going to be an awesome-looking coffee bar. They have several restaurants that are right on the edge of being announced, but one in particular that we can talk about today. Is anyone here a fan of mud bugs in Buda? I have to raise my hand. I think a few of y'all know I go there a lot. Jeff Parks. Where's Jeff? Stand up, Jeff. There's the owner, Mud Bugs, right there. Jeff is creating Mudbugs the Diner at the WordPlace district. In addition, the WordPlace development, in addition to all the historic trees and the great landscaping, is 17 acres of open space, including 13 and a half acres of a city park being installed there. So when we talk about development, we're not just thinking about the business, we're also thinking about the way people interact around development and making sure that we are solving for the pedestrian as well as just the automobile commuter. All right, next up is what we took a vote on, City Council, at the last meeting. This is what's tentatively being called Vibe Park District, but it's directly across. It's where when Kohlers goes underneath I-35 onto the east side, heading towards Seton, there's a large plot of land. We've been working for 2 years with Transwestern and NewQuest, and they've been very relentlessly pursuing this site and development. If you haven't heard of NewQuest is a kind of like an Endeavor, except maybe even larger, very reputable retail power center and mixed-use developer we've been very thankful to have them considering and pursuing the city of Kyle. 600,000 square feet of retail coming to the city. You see a combination of multiple things in this image. First, you see a lot of big box retail on the back, which NewQuest has a lot of tenants that are interested in that space. The second is a lot of standalone restaurants. It's actually 2 layers deep on the front, so you can see very close up is the front standalone restaurants, and then in the back you see a sort of a strip mall type shopping area. And then lastly, on the right-hand side is a major mixed-use forward-facing, like where the businesses face each other and are connected by a large patio or atrium. That's what is coming with the Vibe Park District. I just want to say how excited I am to see this. Everything you see around Costco, this is more. It's more in its totality than the Dry River District is in its totality. So when Mayor Pro Tem says we're just getting started in terms of retail development, he means it. There's the sort of the atrium of the park pavilion space, and then they're very focused on aesthetic, providing homages to the city of Kyle, artwork all around, and lots of walkability. These are some examples of the tenants that NewQuest loves to bring to their development projects. So when we talk about retail leakage, this represents a major dent in the amount of money leaving Hays County and staying here in the city of Kyle. Very, very excited about this project. The Kohlers Underpass from the Dry River District in Calterra, where those businesses are, goes directly into this site. So all of the roads around the Vibe Park District will be brand new roads, and the Vibe Park District on the east and the Dry River District on the west will be directly connected with an underpass, and then the Vibe Park District will also be directly connected to Seton. So you can start to understand how the vision plays out in terms of transportation and connectivity. So not only is it roads, but that's also Vibe. It's also trails, park to park, shop to shop, Seton to Vibe to Dry River, and then ultimately to the brick and mortar district. All right, has anybody heard about Sprouts coming? So the city council has been in negotiations with the development group that's bringing the Sprouts to the north end of the brick and mortar district for several months now. I think maybe they preceded Mr. Langley, but he's definitely been dealing with these guys for a while. They want to put a standalone Sprouts just north of Heroes Memorial Park, maybe, I don't know, 100 yards or so, maybe a little bit further than that, but just north of the Heroes Memorial Park, as well as 18,000 square feet of retail space for lease. The Sprouts team has a variety of Sprouts that they can bring. Some of the Sprouts that they put in some of the cities are sort of just tilt wall, 4 walls, and that's pretty much all you see. What we are excited is that we've been working with Sprouts over the last several months to make sure that when they put this anchor project into the very important brick and mortar district, that they do it at the highest level. And they have agreed to do that. And so we will be taking up their proposals in the next couple meetings. Very, very excited for the Sprouts. Next thing is the development of our employment. So I've talked about the retail, and as I think you can tell, we have a lot of retail coming. But retail is not the only thing that this city needs in order to move past the idea of being a bedroom community. First, robust infrastructure. Second, expansion of our retail. But third, and perhaps just as importantly as the retail, is the cultivation and expansion of our workforce and our employment opportunities right here in the city of Kyle. Last year, I talked about all the new businesses, a lot of Tesla suppliers, a lot of great new businesses coming to the city. I only want to talk about two, although there are many more coming. Two big ones. The first, we have been blessed in the city of Kyle to have a great hospital partner in Ascension Seton Hayes. Over the many years, 15 plus years that they have been here, they've been a reliable partner, and we know that they will continue to be a great partner. But Kyle, over time, since in large part because of Seton initially, has become sort of a medical hub. It's a growing and thriving sector in our local economy. We have over 1 million square feet of medical office space. Well, that number's going up. This is St. David's, 7 stories, $300 million first phase investment going in right next to HEB, directly west across from Marketplace in HEB. Just want to take a second and process that. This will make the city of Kyle having as its 2 anchor tenants on its primary drive, 1626 and Kyle Parkway, a massive, prosperous, thriving and respected level 2 trauma center, Ascension Seton Hayes, and on the right side and on the west side will be a fantastic 7-story St. David's Medical Center, all producing jobs. I think the number tentatively in their first phase, $300 million investment, is around 200 jobs that will be created by St. David's. You can tell that we've been working with St. David's for a while. They are very focused on the design aesthetics, making it pleasing. The Vibe Trail system, which will go from the Public Safety Center down Marketplace south, connects to St. David's and then turns around the backside and goes underneath 1626 to the Kyle Crossing Phase 2 where the Chipotle is. So you will be able to walk all the way eventually from the Word Place development at the Burleson Roundabout north to the Kyle Crossing Phase 2, then underneath 1626 right next to the railroad tracks. And by the way, walk, bike, golf cart, rollerblades, stroll, all of those things are multimodal. Underneath 1626 directly into St. David's, and from St. David's further north along Marketplace all the way to the Public Safety Center and beyond. Very, very excited. Can we give St. David's a round of applause for their contribution to our community? All right, last slide. You ready? We heard the news, when was it? When did Elon Musk say that Tesla was coming to Del Valley? How many years ago has that been now? It was like pandemic era, right? 2020? It feels like it had to have been an eternity ago because of the impact that Tesla has made on the city of Austin and the surrounding areas. When we heard that Tesla was coming to southeast Austin, we got excited because when a major employer comes, like Costco, the Costco effect, the Tesla effect is exponentially more. They have subcontractors and suppliers and manufacturers who provide services to the Gigafactory. And so over the last 2 years, we have announced 5 new Tesla suppliers and affiliated businesses locating in the city of Kyle. Not only just raw manufacturing, but also logistics and technology development. Most recently, I think it was 2 weeks ago, there was an announcement made for XCharge, a research and development company coming right next to the Public Safety Center to design and develop increased charging platforms, not only for Tesla, but for the electrification of things in the community. So we're very excited. Last year, we announced Alliance Industrial Park, 1.4 million square feet of speculative industrial and logistics space being constructed on the southeast side of the city of Kyle in the city limits. If anybody looks over that direction, right around the Yarrington exit just north, you will see roughly 1.4 million square feet being finished at this point. They went very quickly. The city of Kyle as well as Hays County partnered with Alliance Industrial to help fund the construction of Goforth, the first major road that eventually will get all the way to 150 and Post Oak. I was thinking that over the development of this project, that eventually, potentially, we could get a major Tesla supplier or manufacturer to come and take down a percentage of this site. I'm sad to report that did not happen. What we got instead is Tesla. We're growing up, Tobias. We're growing up. We're intentional. We're thinking about what we're doing. We are extremely excited about the partnership with Tesla. They have taken down 3 of the 5 buildings. It's roughly 1 million square feet, just under 1 million square feet of space. What they are planning to do with it, if you've ever met Tesla, they're a little cloak and dagger on that. I have bits and pieces, but I don't want to speculate or say something wrong, just like I was very careful when we had to talk about Costco 2 years ago. But this is a done deal. I'm excited to announce Tesla coming. They're great partners. They're great for the brand of the city of Kyle. We want to see Kyle continue to grow as a medical office hub, and also as taking advantage of the Tesla boom that's happened over the last 2 or 3 years. Hundreds of jobs are going to be created, and we'll get those numbers as they come forward. They haven't come to the city for an incentive. They're just moving forward with their construction, so we don't have a lot of the details, but this is an extremely exciting announcement. So, in summary, the vision for the city of Kyle to move past being a bedroom community into being a thriving community is, number 1, robust expansion and planning of infrastructure. Number 2, the expansion and cultivation of great retail in the city for people to have things to do and spend their money here. And number 3 is workforce in the city of Kyle. We need to have primary jobs where folks can live here, work here, play here, shop here, and all the things that you know to be true and what everyone seems to want for their community. That is what we are laser focused on. That's what the City Council has been pursuing now for years. We're very excited to have Mr. Langley elevate our operations so that we can handle and be ready for these robust employers to come to the City of Kyle. I could not be prouder to be your mayor and to have served the City of Kyle over the last 7 years. It's a labor of love. It's something I enjoy very much. I couldn't be happier to be here. So I just want to say thank you all for coming. I know it's a long event. I didn't expect so many folks to be here. I'm sorry it hasn't rained yet. Maybe it will. But I love you all. Thank you so much for coming.